3,000 years ago, on a mountain wrapped in fire and smoke, humanity received 10 sentences that would change the world forever. But what if everything you thought you knew about the 10 Commandments was just the surface? What if hidden beneath these ancient words lies a secret blueprint for human consciousness itself? Tonight, we embark on a journey that will reveal the 10 Commandments as you've never seen them before. This isn't just about religious rules. This is about the architecture of reality, the psychology of freedom, and the hidden wisdom that has guided civilizations for millennia. Walk into any courthouse in the Western world and you'll find echoes of these commandments carved into law. Step into a therapist's office and you'll hear principles that mirror their wisdom. Open a philosophy textbook and you'll discover thinkers wrestling with their implications. But here's what's shocking. Most people who reference the 10 Commandments have never truly understood them. They've been quoted, debated, displayed on monuments, and fought over in courts, yet their deepest meanings remain locked away, hidden in the original Hebrew, buried in ancient context, and obscured by centuries of interpretation. Dr. Sarah Mendelsohn, a biblical Hebrew scholar, explains it this way. When you read the 10 Commandments in English, you're reading a translation of a translation of a translation. Each time something is lost. The Hebrew words carry layers of meaning that simply don't exist in other languages. Tonight, we're going back to the source. We're peeling back the layers. And what we'll discover will surprise even the most devoted believers and the most hardened skeptics. Because the 10 Commandments aren't just rules, they're a psychological roadmap, a social contract, a revolutionary manifesto, and possibly the most sophisticated system of human guidance ever conceived. To understand the hidden meanings, we must first understand the moment. Picture this. You're part of a massive crowd, possibly 2 million people, recently escaped from slavery in Egypt. You've known nothing but servitude your entire life. Your parents were slaves, your grandparents were slaves, 400 years of bondage. You have no government, no laws, no social structure beyond what your oppressors imposed. You're camped in the wilderness 50 days after your dramatic escape, and everyone is terrified, confused, and asking the same question: what now? Dr. James Robertson, an expert in ancient Near Eastern history, says this is unprecedented in ancient history. You have this enormous population, suddenly free, but completely unprepared for freedom. They don't have a justice system, property laws, or even a shared moral framework beyond survival. This is a recipe for absolute chaos. Into this chaos comes Moses, climbing a mountain that's literally on fire. The text says the mountain shook, smoke billowed like a furnace, and the sound of a trumpet grew louder and louder. The people were told not to touch the mountain or they would die. Terror gripped the camp. Then Moses descended with 2 stone tablets. On them, 10 statements. In Hebrew, they're not called commandments at all. They're called Aseret Hadibrot, the 10 utterances or 10 sayings. Already we see the first hidden meaning. These aren't just commands from a king. They're expressions of fundamental truth, declarations of reality itself. And here's where it gets fascinating. These 10 statements are divided into 2 tablets. Ancient Jewish tradition says the first tablet contained the first 5 commandments, dealing with humanity's relationship with the divine. The second tablet contained the last 5, dealing with human relationships with each other. But the hidden meaning goes deeper, much deeper. Each commandment on the first tablet directly corresponds to a commandment on the second. They mirror each other. They're in dialogue. And when you understand these connections, the entire structure reveals itself as a unified, brilliant system. Ready to have your mind opened? Let's begin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Wait, that's not a commandment at all. It's a statement, an introduction. And that's the first hidden meaning. Rabbi David Cohn, a Talmudic scholar, explains it beautifully. The first commandment isn't commanding anything, it's establishing relationship. Before God says, "you shall," or "you shall not," God says, "I am." This is revolutionary. In the ancient world, gods gave commands, period. But here, God introduces himself first. I am the one who freed you. I am the one who saw your suffering. I am invested in your well-being. You're not slaves anymore. You're free, and your entire moral framework must flow from that fundamental truth. You are free people in relationship with the source of freedom. But there's something even deeper. The Hebrew word used here is anochi, I am, not the more common ani. Anochi is intimate, personal, almost vulnerable. It's the I you use with family. Dr. Mendelsohn adds this insight. This sets the tone for everything that follows. These aren't impersonal laws handed down by a distant deity. This is family. This is covenant. This is, I freed you. Now let me show you how to stay free. And here's the parallel with the sixth commandment on the second tablet. You shall not murder. Why? Because if God is the source of your identity and freedom, then other humans, created in God's image, carry that same divine dignity. To murder is to destroy that which bears the image of the one who freed you. The commandments mirror each other. Vertical relationship informs horizontal relationship. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. On the surface, this seems like it's about statues. Don't make little golden gods and bow down to them. Simple enough, right? Wrong. The hidden meaning is far more profound and far more relevant to your life today. Dr. Peter Richards puts it this way. An idol isn't just a statue. An idol is any finite thing you treat as infinite. It's anything you give ultimate value to that can't bear that weight. The ancient Israelites didn't make the golden calf because they thought it was God. They made it as a representation of God. The problem is that any representation reduces the infinite to the finite. Think about it this way. Imagine trying to capture the entire ocean in a bottle. You can get some water, sure, but you've lost the vastness, the depth, the power. You've reduced something incomprehensible to something you can hold, and that reduction is a lie. The second commandment warns against the human tendency to reduce mystery to management. We want a God we can control, predict, manipulate, a God that fits in our packet, confirms our biases, demands what we were going to do anyway. But here's the hidden depth. This isn't just about religious worship. This is about your relationship with everything. When you reduce your spouse to a set of expectations, you've made an idol. When you reduce your child to their achievements, you've made an idol. When you reduce yourself to your job title, income, or appearance, you've made an idol. Dr. Lisa Freeman, who studies the philosophy of religion, explains further. The second commandment is ultimately about intellectual and spiritual humility. It's saying reality is bigger than your categories. Truth is deeper than your certainties. Stay open, stay curious. Don't confuse your map for the territory. And notice the parallel with the seventh commandment. You shall not commit adultery. What is adultery but reducing a person to an object of desire? It's taking someone created in the infinite image and treating them as a finite means to your pleasure. Both commandments warn against reduction, against making the infinite finite, whether that's God or a human being. The vertical mirrors the horizontal. Again, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. What's the big deal about a name? Everything, actually. In Hebrew culture, a name wasn't just a label, it was the essence of a thing. To know someone's name was to have a claim on their identity. And God's name, the four-letter name so sacred that it's rarely pronounced, represents God's very being. But here's what most people miss. This commandment isn't primarily about cursing or swearing. The Hebrew phrase is lo tisa et shem. Literally, you shall not lift up or carry the name. It's about bearing the name falsely. Rabbi Cohn returns to explain.
If you claim to represent God, if you claim to speak for the divine, you better be living with integrity. This commandment is about hypocrisy. It's about people who wear God's name like a badge, but live in ways that contradict everything that name represents. That's taking the name in vain. Think of every war fought in God's name, every abuse justified by Scripture, every scandal involving religious leaders. Every time someone says, "God told me," to promote their own agenda, that's bearing the name falsely. But the hidden meaning goes even deeper into your everyday life. Dr. Richards adds this perspective. This commandment is about the power of speech and the responsibility of representation. When you make a promise, you're invoking truth. When you give your word, you're putting your name on it. To break that promise, to lie, to speak carelessly, that's misusing your own name, your own essence. You carry a name. You represent something, your family, your community, your values. Are you carrying it with integrity, or are you bearing it falsely? And watch the parallel with the 8th commandment. You shall not steal. What is a lie but theft? When you lie, you steal someone's right to make informed decisions. When you break a promise, you steal their trust. Both commandments are about integrity in relationship, with God and with others. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Of all the commandments, this one gets the most eye rolls in modern society. Rest? That's a commandment? How nice. Maybe I'll rest when I'm dead. But you're missing the revolution hidden in this command. The Sabbath wasn't a suggestion for self-care. It was a radical act of resistance against the entire economic and political system of the ancient world. Dr. Robertson explains, in ancient Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in every empire of the ancient Near East, the economy ran on endless labor. Slaves worked every day. Even free workers had no guaranteed rest. The idea that everyone, free, slave, even animals, would stop working for an entire day every week, that was revolutionary. It was economic heresy. The Sabbath was a declaration. You're not a production unit. Your value isn't determined by your output. One day a week, the entire economy stops to remember that human beings are not machines. Dr. Jennifer Adams, who studies the sociology of work, adds this insight. The Sabbath is inherently countercultural in every age. In ancient times, it resisted slavery and endless labor. Today, it resists the cult of productivity, the hustle culture, the idea that you're only as valuable as your last achievement. It says, stop, rest, remember you're a human being, not a human doing. But here's the hidden depth. The Sabbath isn't just about not working, it's about remembering. The commandment literally starts with the word zakor, remember. What to remember? Remember that you're free. Remember that you're not a slave to Pharaoh, to your boss, to the economy, to the urgent, to the demanding. Remember that you're created for more than productivity. The Sabbath creates a weekly rhythm of resistance. It's a declaration that the system doesn't own you, not completely, not ultimately. And notice the parallel with the 9th commandment. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. What is false testimony but living a lie, playing a role, being inauthentic? The Sabbath is radical authenticity. One day a week, you stop performing, stop producing, stop pretending. You just are. Both commandments are about truth, who you really are versus who the system demands you to be. Honor your father and your mother. This is the bridge commandment. It connects the vertical and horizontal. It's where heaven meets earth. Why? Dr. Maya Goldstein, a family systems therapist, explains, "Parents are your first experience of authority, care, provision, and relationship. How you relate to your parents shapes how you relate to everyone else, including God. If you grow up with parents who are trustworthy, your capacity to trust others, including the divine, is strengthened. If you grow up with betrayal, your trust is damaged everywhere." But here's where everyone gets this commandment wrong. Honor doesn't mean obey. It doesn't mean pretending abuse didn't happen. It doesn't mean maintaining toxic relationships. The Hebrew word is kavod, honor, or literally weight or substance. To honor is to acknowledge weight, to give proper recognition.
You shall not covet your neighbor's house, wife, servant, ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. We've arrived at the final commandment, and it's different from all the others. The first 9 deal with actions. Don't murder, don't steal, don't lie. But this one goes internal. This one deals with desire itself. Coveting is the belief that you deserve what someone else has simply because you want it. It's the mentality that says, they have it, I want it, therefore I should have it. It's the death of contentment and the birth of grievance. Think about modern life. We're marinated in covetousness. Advertising exists to make you covet. Social media is a highlight reel designed to make you feel inadequate. Comparison is the currency of our culture. The 10th commandment says, stop. Stop measuring your life by someone else's measuring stick. Stop believing that you're entitled to what others have. Stop letting desire dictate your decisions.